let's talk about complexity. How complex is too complex, and what's the point of adding complexity in a card or a game? Because I feel like I have a good idea of what I want to do as far as like how complex I want Grit to be, but I feel like it's also kind of a limiting factor. So I initially made Grit to be like um, honestly, because parts of other games were getting a little too hectic and crazy. I think that coming from like Magic, um, it was getting like to the point where it just didn't make a lot of sense to like keep playing and trying to figure out like all these different things. Where keeping up with the competitive scene was just like a chore in and of itself. So I was like, well, if I made a card game, I wouldn't want to do these certain things, have this much text, or this keyword that does all these things. And that's more of a comparison, though, because Magic is clearly a different game that's been out for 30 years, 30 something years, a little more, I think, 25, 30 years, something like that. So it's not really a comparison. I think most games start fairly simple. Really big ones, Magic, obviously, Yu-Gi-Oh, same thing. Um, Pokemon, I think so too. Very much so. And then just those like the big three, right? So I would say those ones started very simple, humble, and then grew complex over time. This is due to power creep. You have to sometimes make better things and effects and abilities over time to continue to sell product and to make sure that whatever is coming out is just as sought after as what is already out, if not more. So there's a whole other bits and pieces to this rather than just like game design and balancing. So I really wanted this game to be not centered around that. That's why it's like not obviously not focused on like merchandising, marketing, like making money and all that stuff, but it's rather like how do you create a cool, cohesive game that is playable by a lot of people very quickly and can be learned and improved on, and it doesn't come down to the latest and greatest stuff. Obviously that's a pipe dream, but that's the goal. So where this comes up is that I'm in the middle of creating the final initial archetype, the initial last initial characters for like set one, basically. And we call them the cuties, and they're I think meant to be more experimental or expressive in their playstyle, and they're really meant to harbor around like using a lot of different colored cards and really caring about that. So there's some easy routes to go, which I think don't feel maybe as, which is probably okay now that I say it out loud, where it's more straightforward. For example, if you pay with a certain number of colors from your hand, you get a beneficial effect. However, I've been playing around with like kind of crazier ideas because I think it's just a little bit more fun for me to do that. The problem is the complexity really skyrockets very quickly. And so how complex is too complex is kind of like, what is the cutoff point where people are like, I'm not even going to try to read this. I'm not even going to like attempt to figure out what this means. I'm not even going, like, I'm halfway through, I'm like, nope, no thank you. Or you even look at the card and you're like, nah, that's okay. Because when I look at a Yu-Gi-Oh card, that's like my first thing is like, no, no. I'm sure this game is good, and I'm sure it's fun to do cool combos and do all these things, but like, I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. And so Grit is a rules simple game that then builds complexity on itself very quickly during the game, that you kind of create yourself, and the cool combos and things you can do are kind of like the byproduct of all the stuff you're doing. That, I think that kind of makes sense. So given that one card can cause so much complexity, doesn't feel like it fits the theme or the core value of what Grit is trying to be, but rather kind of like breaks that. And then the payoff is good, obviously, for playing the game, but it's also like a hard cut for some people, because it's just a step too far. And I think that, if I can put this into words, I think that having a portion of the game that does that is okay. Having it this early is probably not okay. And then I think we've already kind of hit that with like the guild, with it hiding cards and caring about the bottom of your deck and doing those sorts of things. I think is like slightly different. idea that is potentially too much for like more people. And so reducing the amount of keywords, reducing the amount of words on text, and making it so every card is at least something you're attempting to look at is, I think, probably the best thing that can happen with Grit, at least for now. So yeah, I think that's really where it's at, is like, how do you make every card feel different without throwing a keyword on it, and without making it feel like that card is too complex and you don't even want to try it. And then yeah, that's really it. So bunch of talking, not a bunch, but some ideas being thrown around in the Discord right now that I'm just trying to like move through, and I think that this conversation really comes from that. And Grit is meant to be relatively simple, that you create your own complexity, and I think I want to stick to that. But is that worth giving up thematic presence in a card or in a set or in a something? It's obviously not worth balancing, right? You want it to be more balanced than anything else. So, because it doesn't make sense to be like, well, this is thematic, but it's also super crazy powerful. Like, this card says, play another card for free. Any card you want. And that's obviously not it, but maybe it fits thematically. But it just doesn't work balance-wise. So, balancing the balance, the theme, the complexity, and the I guess that's really it. Those three things is like starting to, I think, be difficult, because it's easy to kind of forget one of those and have something cool happen. But yeah, I don't know. That's where it's at. How complex is too complex? I don't know. Yeah, I think that's all for today. If you have an idea of what complexity means to you, or how you deal with that, whether you're creating your own game or how you view other games and what really stops you from playing a certain game or playing certain cards or whatever, I would love to hear that. That would be great. That would be awesome. But for now, I think my rambling is done. I'm getting hot in this car. It's a little too warm to be sitting here. So wherever you are, whenever you are in the world, I hope you have a great day, night, morning, weekend, whatever it is, wherever it is. And I hope to see you in whatever the next video is. So see ya.